Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 8. She saw that for all the adulteries of that faithless one, Israel, referring to the northern kingdom of Israel, I had sent her away with a decree of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister, Judah, that is the southern kingdom, did not fear, but she too went and played the whore. When I was in the United States Army in Germany, I had several humorous experiences. On one field exercise, while serving as a battalion maintenance officer, I was sent to a maneuver area to assess and plan a recovery operation for a tank that was stuck in the mud. When we got to the maneuver area in my Jeep, I decided to stay on the main trail and to avoid getting stuck in the mud also. However, I looked over the maneuver area and I did not see any tank, only a handful of soldiers on foot in the muddy area. And upon closer inspection, I could not believe what I saw. All I could see was an antenna sticking up out of the mud. The entire tank, the hull and the turret were submerged in the mud. I knew that it would take two M88 recovery vehicles to pull the sunken tank out. However, what I saw next was the most comical thing that I'd seen in a long time. As the soldiers on the ground were standing around looking forlorn at their sunken tank, another tank came barreling along at high speed to that location. I could see the tank commander pointing to the sunken tank's crew, laughing hilariously. The laughter, however, did not last very long, as the approaching tank drove at high speed into the same mud hole in which the first tank was stuck. I watched as a wave of brown water and mud washed and swept up over the front hull of the tank and buried that tank also. So now not just one, but two tanks were stuck in the same mire, while two tank crews, now covered in mud, were standing around looking at their tanks, trying to figure out what was going to happen. Now, the point of this story is that some people just do not learn. You would have thought that the second tank might have learned from the first one and approached with caution. However, they did not, and the result was their own misery. This often is the way it is in life. People observe things but do not learn from their observations. And this is the situation for Judah, the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel. They should have observed that the idolatry of the northern kingdom, Israel, resulted in disaster as they were conquered by the Assyrian Empire in 722 BC. The southern kingdom, Judah, knew the history and should have understood that this happened because the northern kingdom, Israel, turned their back on God, removing his hand of protection from them. Judah knew of this but did not learn from it. Today we often see things that happen to other people but do not learn ourselves. Some can see people dabbling with substance abuse and the resultant disaster it usually brings, and yet jump into the same lifestyle. Some people see people hopelessly in debt due to foolish choices and end up in insurmountable debt themselves by making the exact same foolish choices. These often get into the problem by thinking that it could never happen to them. Have we not seen professing believers disappear from the church only to be overcome by the flesh and the world system? Many people struggle in life because they do not seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness with a whole heart. And churches are not immune to this problem either. How many churches have turned their back on the scriptures and moved to a progressive position that denies the full authority of the Bible? These churches experience weakness and spiritual decline, and many of them numerical decline, and they end up folding. So let us not grow in knowledge, but also in wisdom. Both are essential. Let us grow in wisdom by observation. We should be able to observe those that walk in their lives and walk by faith and not by sight. And we should be able to observe those who walk by sight and not by faith. And pattern those that walk by faith, learn from it. When we do, we will see that to walk by faith takes us on a path of the greatest blessing in the kingdom.